Matthew, in chapter 27 of his Gospel, describes the crucifixion of Christ. A darkness came over the land, and Jesus, with a loud voice, cried out, saying, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Moved by Christ's plea, this person in Shafter, California asks, "Can you please explain Jesus' statement?"
May I say to you, that's the most plaintive language that's been used in any language on top side of the earth. That is something that is absolutely horrifying to hear, and it's an awful thing to be able to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" Well, the thing is that when the Lord Jesus Christ was made sin for us, the one who knew no sin, then God had to treat him like he must treat all sinners. And not only did he shed his blood, not only did he take our sin for us, but he took our judgment. And I think he went through hell. And that hell was to be separated from God. And he's crying out. And that's the worst thing that can happen. And there's so many people that want to argue about the literal fire in hell and want to debate questions like that. Friends, don't you know that the thing that makes the lost conditions such an awful, terrible thing is to have men and women brought together in an eternity where that lost nature that they have can be free to express itself, and that God has absolutely forsaken them because, first of all, they forsook God. And that is the horror and the awful thing about hell itself. I think that probably that we ought to recognize that a little bit more today, because separation from God is the hell the Lord Jesus went with on the cross. And it must be frightful indeed to have that happen. And so that's part of what he went through. It meant that for that time that he was made sin for us, who knew no sin, there on the cross, that God separated himself from Christ, and Christ was separated from God. In other words, you have an estrangement brought there that is the most peculiar thing, and the most peculiar thing in the history of mankind, that here the second person of the Godhead is separated from the first person of the Godhead, and the separation has been brought about by your sin and my sin. And that's the reason that he cried out and uttered what he did when he was hanging there upon the cross.